Up here in the nursery today, getting a little bit blinded by the sun, even though I'm facing away from it, because I'm looking at the camera. Anyway, I wanted to talk real quick today about some activities going on in the nursery this time of year. It's early February. It's kind of warm today. It actually feels more like this is what I was used to with March growing up. Of course, I'm in a different climate down here in the southeast, so it's getting warmer pretty much everywhere across the board, but it is hard to compare having grown up in a different climate and kind of transplanting down here. But anyway, regardless of how warm or cold it feels day to day, the fact of the matter is it'll be spring before we know it. It's going to be warming up, and the needs, the workflow, the demand in the nursery changes dramatically with that shift of seasons, and I'm trying to prepare for it. Those of you who work with plants, you'll know spring and fall tend to be the busiest times of year for most plant activities. Now, with the nursery, it's a little bit different. I guess all aspects of agriculture are different, right? If you're a market farmer, you might have a different peak season. Summer might be the busiest time, for example. But for nursery work, it's definitely spring and fall. If you work with animals, it's all year round. And if you work with field crops, I don't know. It depends, I guess, when you're pulling in the field crops and when you have to get the fields tilled. And also down here in the southeast, I'm in southwestern parts of Virginia here in the mountains. Winter's mild enough that winter's actually pretty busy for us too. There's a lot of work that can happen in winter. We got frozen pretty hard in January. There's a few weeks where I couldn't really do too much here in the nursery, but we're thawed out now in early February. And so I'm back to work, and all of December was mild enough to work. But anyway, in preparation for spring, what is on my mind today, other than I am getting some seeds started in some of these beds. I'm planting persimmon seed right now just to kind of get them out of storage. And also, the more I plant, the easier it is to visualize how many more beds I'm gonna need. Looking at empty beds in a pile of seed, you can kind of guesstimate, but once you get out and actually start filling them up and say, okay, this is how many beds I have left, this is how much seed I have left, it becomes easier to know how much more bed space you gotta create. But what I'm working on, thinking on, chewing on today is that we've got a ton of bare root trees left that are in storage, healed in these pots that are ready to find homes. I'm finally able to start shipping again now that the thaw from January's cold is over. And so part of this effort to get these trees distributed into their homes is I'm going to be running a sale starting by the time the wild probably started a little bit before this video uploaded. But managing living inventories is difficult. It's not just items on a shelf that you are trying to sell. It is living beings, and so they have conditions that have to be met for their entire duration in storage, right? So all these bare root trees are dormant right now, but I know that come spring, soon they'll be leafing out. And once they leaf out, their needs are much higher than when they're dormant. When they're dormant like this in wintertime, I don't really have to worry about watering anybody. I don't have to worry about weeding. Once they wake up, that all changes. And so at that point, I don't want to have all these trees bundled and healed in these pots. Once it gets warm and they leaf out, I'm going to want to have them either potted up, sold, planted out here in permanent locations, or planted into beds in the ground to grow out another year. And there's a physical limit to how many trees I can pot up and manage here on this site. There's a limit to how much I can plant out in the landscape or into nursery beds. And so basically what I'm getting at is that sales were really good in 2024. I'm really grateful and appreciative for all the orders that people placed, for all the ways that we were able to distribute trees. We still have a good number, and I'm hoping that we can get this number cut down, that we can get a certain amount of trees shipped out, ordered and shipped out before they leaf out. This will really make the workload much more manageable come spring. Once they're leafing out, I need to get it cut back to a more manageable level. Still plenty of time to do that, but as one way to try to facilitate that, we are running a sale, a spring cleaning sale of sorts. We're going to do 15% off on everything through the nursery. You can get the discount by going to the nursery and applying the discount code spring cleaning at checkout. There's no limit for how many times you can use this. You can place as many orders as you want. If we can fit them all in one box, we'll refund you any extra shipping. And this is just going to go until I run out of plants. The details of exactly what we have available is on the website. It's going to be changing day by day as orders come in. But as of right now, at the start of the sale, a lot of sunchoke tubers, a super awesome native tuber crop you can eat. They're very hardy. We talk about them on the website. We've made some videos about them on here. We'll be talking about them more in the future. We also have a lot of black walnut bare root. So if you're interested in getting some black walnut planted out, we've got black walnut grown from seed collected by Akiva Silver up in New York from trees at Cornell, which is a mix of timber form trees and improved nut qualities in that planting. We've got some seedlings from the Hershey nursery, which are mostly improved nut characteristics, thin shell, big nuts, easy cracking. These are seedlings, so each one is going to be unique. They're not going to be exactly like the parents. And then we also have quite a few black walnuts from wild seed sources, basically a local ecotype around the Durham and Hillsborough, North Carolina area. Additionally, we have a good number of redbud seedlings left in stock, as well as butternut, heartnut, Asian chestnut, willow. I'm trying to think what else we have a lot of. There's other species that we have only a handful of. I can think about like dogwood and black locust. I only have a few left, but if there's anybody that wants to take them, I'd be happy to send them to you. And that's the main thing I want to convey with this video, is that sale is going on, that these are the plants that we still have for those who are interested in purchasing plants or helping get the word out there. It really helps the nursery, and I appreciate y'all for doing it. And then kind of speaking more broadly and thinking to bigger picture stuff while I'm out here filming this video, I figured I'd get some other thoughts out. I would love to hear what other topics you guys want to see videos on in the nursery. Some of the upcoming work, like I said, it's planting out seed in late winter. We could talk about how that looks in the southeast. It's not going to be as applicable to folks in a more colder climate, but certainly in the southeast, you can plant a lot of seed this time of year. Tree seed specifically is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of cleanup happening in this nursery site. We're definitely going to make a video on, I'm trying to get all this black plastic up and all the trash and just really spruce this place up. So that'll be a video cleaning up the site. We could talk a lot about air pruning beds. I'm in the process of, I'm going to have to make more. I don't know exactly how many. I'm going to have to repair a few existing ones. We could talk about handling bare root trees, what that looks like, transplanting them, storing them, moving them around. There's a whole lot of that work going on. I'd also love to hear what plants you guys would like to see in the nursery in 2025. I've already procured a lot of the seed that I'm going to be growing, but it's not too late to get more. We're also going to be branching out. We're trying to get into, it sounds like it's almost definite at this point, that we're going to be at some local farmers markets here in Roanoke and Rocky Mount, Virginia. And in order to do that, we're going to have more potted plants. So I'm expanding the potted tree selection for this year. I'm also going to try to get into wildflowers, herbs, some new plant friends for me. Again, in order to be able to have these for local folks at farmers markets, we'll be doing local sales, maybe here at the nursery, or I'd like to offer delivery within a reasonable area. But it's always interesting to hear what plants y'all would like to see more of. I know for me, I'm really hoping to have more wild plums available this year. That's something that I feel like is kind of generally underserviced in the nursery trade. Wild plums, hoping to have a lot more hazelnuts as well. We had a good amount in 2024, but hopefully even more in 25. There's a whole list of wildflowers and herbs that we've got that we're going to try to start from seed. I got a lot of seed from the Experimental Farm Network. It's such a long list of plants that we're going to try out, so I'm not going to list everything right here, but there's a lot of wildflowers and herbs we're going to try this year. So basically, if things go according to plan, we're going to have more trees this year in terms of just overall quantity, as well as a lot more diversity of species offered, and also hopefully breaking into these wildflowers, herbaceous perennials, that sort of thing. It's going to be an interesting year. It all starts now. It already started. It's about to start soon. It's kind of all of those things at once are true. But for now, I'm going to put the camera down, get back to it, because the sun is getting lower in the sky. And before I know it, I'm going to have to go up and do chicken chores. I got a few other things to wrap up here. As always, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Check out the sale if you're interested. Help get the word out. Thanks for tuning in here, and I'll catch you in the next one.